Welcome to the second edition of the Billion Dollar Broker podcast. My name is Ross Lacane. I'm bringing my 25 years industry experience together with leading experts around the globe to give you the insights on how to live a better life and grow a profitable mortgage broking business that you are proud of. Today, we have Jermy Iannuazzelli from Keshab Chartered Accountants to share his insights on the government initiatives you need to know and be aware of. Hey Jeremy, how you going? Welcome to the Billion Dollar Broker podcast. How's things?
Mate, very well on our end, or trying to be as well as we possibly can during this little bit of tough times that we're all going through.
Definitely. What I think is important for the broking community is around what's happening with the government stimulus packages, for them to be an informed broker and to assist their clients in the best way. I really want them to understand exactly what's going on. So you and I had a quick chat today, and I think we really need to understand what's going on for them. So tell us a little bit about the packages. First, start with the businesses and tell me what's available for businesses.
Okay, so we recently, over the last 2 weeks, we've seen the government come up with two changes, or one change initially to the first cash flow assistance for small businesses. And initially it was for small businesses with a turnover of less than $50 million. And that included, this is going to the first one, a $25,000 cap based upon 50% of the PYG that you paid between the quarters between the half year of January to June. But they've changed that, and now they've allowed a $50,000 cap. So essentially that means for all small businesses, you will be receiving virtually the PYG that you pay through your BASs on the quarter of March, the quarter of June, or if you're a monthly installment payer, which means you pay your PYG every month, you'll be receiving 300% of your March quarter and then 100% of your April, May and June, up to a cap of $50,000.
So $50,000, what does that mean in terms of gross wages for most businesses?
Yeah, so if you're probably paying close to about $150,000 to $200,000 in gross wages between that half year, January to June, you will receive that maximum.
So about $600,000 a year in wages.
Give or take, I'd probably say, before 400,000 is probably the gross wages you'd need to pay to withhold about $100,000 a year. So therefore, half of that brings it down to about 200. So if you're paying 400,000 wages per year, you would be getting this maximum $50,000 cap.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know. So, and what else is there, Jeremy?
So on top of that, what the government did provide is an additional boosting payment. So virtually it's equivalent to the first amount that you've received. The first amount you've received, which is, say, for instance, $50,000, the government will do a co-contribution, otherwise known as the boosting payment, of an additional $50,000, which means that you're virtually going to have $100,000 coming back to you as a credit on your activity statement account with the Australian Taxation Office. And the balance of it, whatever hasn't been used in offsetting any cost of your lodging of the BAS, the balance of it can be refunded to you as a genuine cash injection into your business.
Yeah, so I mean, this is really important and really key things for brokers to understand, because I mean, a lot of them have self-employed clients, and these self-employed clients are probably not aware of exactly what's going on. Just on these, are these legislated yet, or are they still to go through the parliament?
So the cash flow assistance has been legislated. That's 100% gone through.
Yeah. So
not only has the Treasury notes been released, but also has passed through the houses. The new one, which is the JobKeeper, that hasn't been legislated yet. However, I can't see the government pulling back on that one at all.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think both sides are definitely... so is there anything else you wanted to add for the small businesses?
Yeah, so small businesses as well, if you are a sole trader and your income has reduced, so a sole trader could be for, a mobile broker acting as a sole trader rather than a company. If your income has reduced by 20% or more, along with casuals, that is, where their hours or income's reduced by 20% or more, you do have access to $10,000 as a tax-free payment from your super. However, I do stress to everybody, this is not, helicopter money from the government. You are actually reducing the capital from the super fund. So I wouldn't recommend it, only for very dire needs, because, again, this is not government money. This is your own money you're drawing upon earlier. But, again, it is there if you are a sole trader with 20% more reduced income, or a casual 20% more reduced time. There are other things out there for employees, such as the job seeker, but more things have come out since then with the JobKeeper legislation, which has kind of assisted people not having to go to JobSeeker or Centrelink to get some JobSeeker payments. More so, you're able to retain your work and get a higher payment through the JobKeeper. So it's just to reiterate on that, again, you're getting your PYG back essentially up to a cap of 50,000 that you're paying in the months of March, April, May and June, or the quarters of March and June. Yeah. And then the government will kick in a co-contribution equivalent to the amount of PYG that you've paid in those 2 quarters.
And so this is for all businesses up to
about 50 mil. 50 mil is the cap.
Okay.
So they've extended that. The new legislative measure, which is the JobKeeper, that's the one that's come out on Monday, and that's about 139 billion in package or in stimulus amount. And I believe last count I saw 653,000 people, businesses I should say, have applied for it already. But that's the big kick. That's the one that's going to allow you to keep your employees. So if you're a $1 billion business or less and you've experienced a 30% decline virtually in revenue, comparable to last year at the same time, you will be eligible as of May. So registering now, the payments won't kick in until 1st of May, but you are eligible for a $1,500 wage subsidy per eligible employee. And New Zealand visa holders come under that. There's a lot of conditions involved, but essentially per eligible employee, whether they're full-time, part-time or long-term casual, meaning that they've been with that organisation for 12 months or longer and it's had regular casual hours, you will get a wage subsidy if you do register and are eligible and have had that 30% decrease, that wage subsidy equaling $1,500 gross per fortnight per employee. And that's a lot. That's $750 gross that your employee still can earn.
Massive. So our brokers are going to be getting a lot of inquiries about this now. So what are the steps for them to tell their customers on what to do for the small businesses that are looking for that?
So it's obviously needing to, number one, consult with their accountants to ensure that they do meet the eligibility criteria. There's a lot of fact sheets. I've been sending out a lot of my clients the fact sheets, the treasury notes, and all the details that they need to apply for these things.
Yeah, you sent me those. Are you okay if I post these on the $1 Billion Broker page for my guys?
100%, mate. Please do share it. This is the information directly from the ATO. It's fantastic. It's giving you essentially everything that an accountant knows. So everything we are aware of at the moment are in these fact sheets, and it's very clearly outlined with examples. So it's extremely hard not to understand it. They've made it incredibly easy and even provided some real-life examples as well.
All right, I'll post these in the form section of the $1 Billion Broker Facebook group, so they will be available. Is there anything else on small business? So
small business is also getting the luxury, if they apply for it, eligible for it. Now, mind you, there is a director's guarantee.
Yeah.
They spoke about the small business loans of $250,000. It is guaranteed by the director. This is not helicopter money. This is a genuine cash injection into your business to assist you. But essentially, you're getting those loans, from what I've heard, at around about 4.5% interest, of which there's a payment-free period for the first 6 months. And then you've got 30 months to repay the principal and interest, which roughly it looks like about a $9,000 per month repayment back to the banks.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, that is a huge cash flow injection, $250,000 that can see you through.
And so, what's the bank's criteria on this at the moment?
Well, they are trying very hard to make sure that they're not going to put you into a hole and dig you into a mess that you can't get yourself out of. But what I've seen, as long as you've got the capacity in past financials and present financials to repay back the debt, they are giving every opportunity they can. A lot of my clients who have applied for it haven't actually got the whole 250. Some of them have got smaller amounts, 80,000, 125. One of my recent clients got 150 approved. So generally, the bank will assess what you can pay and give you the option of taking that particular amount of money. 250 is obviously at the higher point.
Yeah, brokers are talking about in some of the forums that I'm in that there's actually not commission payable by a lot of the lenders on this particular finance, given it is so cheap and obviously it's a government incentive. I've heard maybe one or two of the lenders are actually paying a trailing commission, but there is no upfront commission payments payable to brokers.
I think for the brokers as well, this is maybe an option for them because it is tricky. It's hard to navigate. Some clients are just happy to say, look, I really want you guys to give me that level of assistance.
Yeah.
It could be an option for a broker to charge a bit of a success fee.
Yeah, I think regardless for a broker at this point in time is providing that care and providing the service. And if this is one of the avenues that is going to keep them in business and you are facilitating that service on their behalf, I think it's one of these times where you really go out of your way to do everything that you possibly can for your clients.
And that's probably a really good point. And you know, from our point of view, Ross, what we're doing for our clients, I should say, is we're going to give them all the love and assistance, time and care that they need during this process. We're not going to necessarily charge them for the time that we are spending to assist them with the stimulus packages and incentives, because it's in our best interest to make sure that our clients come out the other side stronger than ever. And it's value. It's about creating value. And this is a time that people remember who you were in times of hardship and how you help them. So I strongly advise any business consultants or people in the compliance industry, this is a great opportunity to show your value and your worth to your clients and give them the love, care and assistance so they can come out stronger on the other side and the relationship can be strong on the other side as well.
Definitely. It's about that care for your client. That's why I think it's really important. And I thank you so much for spending this time and your expertise, because it's really helping our brokers to be that trusted advisor and to be more than just a mortgage broker by really deeply understanding these things. So really thank you for the time. We'll touch on individuals because there's not a lot for the individuals. You mentioned the sole traders can get some of those things, but for the actual individual employees.
Yeah, so sole traders obviously have the ability, if their incomes decline by 20% or more, to get superannuation out. Just recently with the JobKeeper, sole traders who do suffer a 30% loss in their business are eligible for the $1,500 gross payment as well. So that's massive if you're a sole trader and you've lost, you've lost income, 30% or more. You will be eligible for that $1,500 gross payment. But essentially what the government's trying to do is facilitate and stimulate business, which in turn then will facilitate and stimulate employees. As an employer, you may not be getting your whole wage, but you might be getting that $1,500 gross payment. But the reality is we all want to have a company that we can go back to and continue life as normal. We don't want to see small business suffer, as it is one of the largest employers across Australia when you look at just the span and touch that it has. So I think the government's really trying to keep the balance in and the best of both worlds. Although you look at the UK and you look at the US, I think the US all received a $1,200 US payment in their bank account yesterday. And I know Boris from the UK is giving everybody who has lost their job a cap of about £2,500 per month. Australia's got a different way to do it. We are a nation of entrepreneurs and small business, and I think that the government's really trying to protect that foundation, that ideology, and at the same time protect the employees inside of it so there is light at the end of the tunnel, as Scott Morrison's been saying and Frydenberg's been saying along the way.
Yeah, definitely.
But from employees' point of view, I think it's important that you kind of look at both sides of the equation. I've got some clients employees that is, or even small businesses who are trying to refinance, but at the same time trying to get all the government incentives as well. So you've got to kind of weigh up, the balance of working hard still, traditionally going to work, slogging it out, and trying to maintain the level of income instead of just throwing your hands up and saying, well, the government will catch me anyways, especially if you are refinancing, because, Ross, as well as I do, when the banks are looking at your bank statements to assist you in refinancing to get cheaper rates, they don't want to see settlement payments going into your bank account.
Yeah, definitely. All right, as I say, Jeremy, that's great. I mean, in terms of if they want to know more, just tell us a little bit about you and where you're from, if anyone wants to reach out.
Yeah, so I'm a partner at Keshab, Chartered Accountant, myself and another gentleman, Manzurul, the principal and founder as well. We're assisting many small businesses. You can contact us on our office line. And if you're happy for me to give that out, I'm happy to provide it, but you can put it in the comment section as well.
Yeah.
So people can definitely get in contact with us. We'll definitely navigate a little bit of the tricky terminology that the ATO and the government are using, just to ensure that you are getting the maximum benefit, and at the same time getting the fair benefit that you're entitled to assist you during this little bit of a tough time Australia is facing.
Beautiful. That's been great. It's given a lot of information for our brokers. So share this with your clients, share it with other brokers, introduce them to the $1 Billion Broker group, and because we really want to be proactive, giving as much information and creating a really good community. And thank you again, Jeremy. It's been fantastic.
Appreciate it, mate. Take care. Have a lovely week.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.